We've all seen it on television. A lone detective finds a single hair at a crime scene. A lab technician in a crisp white coat runs a test. Suddenly a computer screen flashes. 100% match. The case is solved. The right person is caught. Justice is served. This is the story we are told. It's a story we want to believe. It makes us feel safe. It makes us feel that science is a perfect, unerring tool in the fight for justice. It's a powerful myth, but a myth. The reality is far more complicated and troubling. Forensic science, like any human endeavor, is not perfect. It can fail. And when it fails, the consequences are devastating. Their family, their entire life, all based on evidence presented as certain but actually wrong. This isn't about attacking dedicated scientists or police. Most are trying to find the truth, but the system they work in has deep systemic flaws. Ignoring them ignores the innocent paying the ultimate price. This matters to every one of us. Justice is not a spectator sport. The system must get it right. When an innocent is locked away, a guilty person stays free. Free to harm others. Public trust erodes. The idea of innocent until proven guilty is shaken. We rely on experts for complex evidence. We trust them to be objective. But what if that trust is misplaced? What if the science itself is flawed? Tonight, we look at that question. We'll move past TV dramas and look at the hard facts. We'll explore how forensic science goes wrong and why it matters. We'll show the real-world impact on real people. This is not theoretical. It's human, profound, irreversible. Understanding is the first step to fixing it. We owe it to the victims of the original crime and to the victims of a failed justice system. So, how does it happen? How does a tool meant to reveal the truth end up creating a lie? The causes are not a single, simple mistake. They are systemic problems that turn reliable evidence into wrongful conviction. First, there is simple human bias. Forensic examiners are human. Police identify a prime suspect. Analysts may subconsciously search for confirming evidence. This is confirmation bias. An analyst might see a match in a blurry fingerprint that an objective review would not. Second, many forensic methods are not as scientific as they sound. DNA is the gold standard when done correctly. Bite mark analysis. Experts claimed matches to marks on skin. It's closer to guesswork than science. Microscopic hair comparison has similar issues. These methods lacked rigorous validation, yet were used to convict people. Third, contamination and sloppy lab work are constant threats. Evidence comes from chaotic crime scenes. It's collected from messy scenes, handled by multiple people, transported between locations. A stray piece of hair, a cough, mislabeled samples. Any of these can irrevocably taint evidence. Underfunded labs may cut cleaning corners. Overworked analysts may rush procedures. Small failures can cause catastrophic errors, sending innocents to prison. These are the quiet, mundane realities of underfunded, overburdened labs. Finally, there's bad courtroom testimony. An examiner may testify with absolute certainty. A hair matches 1 in a billion chance of error. The science may not back that certainty. The jury hears confidence, not caveats. They trust the expert. Overstated findings can persuade juries to convict. Experts must explain limitations. When they don't, they fail justice. This is not an abstract debate. These failures have names and faces. Consider the case of Keith Allen Harward. In 1982, a man was murdered and his wife was raped in Newport News, Virginia. At Harward's trial, 6 different forensic dentists testified. They examined a plaster cast of Harward's teeth. They examined bite marks on the victim. They told the jury with complete confidence the marks matched. Overwhelming, one expert said. A very, very, very strong link, said another. Based almost entirely on that testimony, Harward was convicted. He was sentenced to life in prison. He was a young U.S. Navy sailor. He insisted he was innocent. For 33 years, he sat in a prison cell for a crime he didn't commit. He lost everything. He missed his family growing up. He lost his career. He lost his reputation. He lost 3 decades of his life. The world moved on without him because experts presented a flawed technique as infallible. The system believed them. The truth came out because of a different, more reliable science, DNA. In 2015, the Innocence Project secured DNA testing of the crime scene evidence. The results were clear. The DNA belonged to another sailor, a shipmate of Harward's. That man had died in prison years earlier while serving time for a different crime. DNA proved Harward's innocence and identified the actual perpetrator. In 2016, after 33 years, Keith Allen Harward walked out a free man. His story is a stark reminder of the cost of forensic failure. The harm is twofold. An innocent man was robbed of his life. For 33 years, the victim and her family believed the wrong man was being punished. The real attacker was never held accountable for what he did to them. Justice was denied for everyone involved. Harward's case is not an anomaly. It is one of many cases that force the justice system to confront the terrifying reality that bite mark analysis, once trusted, was little more than junk science. How does flawed evidence make its way into a courtroom and lead to a conviction? It's a journey through a system with multiple points of failure. The first crack appears in the lab itself: a lack of funding. Poor training, the absence of strict, enforceable standards. Many crime labs are not independent. They are part of a police department. Institutional pressure builds to find results that help close a case. An analyst might feel pressure, spoken or unspoken, to produce a match for the lead suspect. That feeds confirmation bias. The second failure often lies with the lawyers. Prosecutors may not fully understand the limits of the forensic science they present. They may take a lab report at face value. They don't always question methodology or the analyst's conclusions. Defense attorneys are often overworked and underfunded. Many cannot afford their own expert to review evidence. The third crack is the judge. Judges are supposed to be gatekeepers. They should keep unreliable science out of trials. But many judges are not trained in science. They may rely on precedent. Bite mark analysis was allowed in past cases. Hair analysis was allowed in past cases. And they keep allowing it, even after studies show it's unreliable. Junk science can linger in courtrooms for decades. Finally, the system fails in front of the jury. Jurors are regular people. They are impressed by experts with long credentials. An expert on the stand looks like an impartial voice of science. Cross-examination can seem like confusion or nitpicking. The problems are clear, the failures are real, but they are not unsolvable. We can make our justice system more just. We can ensure science serves the truth. It requires commitment and a focus on practical, common-sense reforms. Here are 5 clear steps we can take, starting right now. First, we must enforce scientific standards. This means any forensic technique used in court must be rigorously tested and validated by independent scientists. Methods that can't be proven reliable and repeatable, like bite mark analysis, should be inadmissible. We need a national body to set and enforce these high standards for all labs. Second, we must work to eliminate bias from the process. One of the best ways is blind testing. A forensic examiner should not know if the sample they are testing belongs to the lead suspect or is just a filler sample. They should analyze the evidence from the crime scene first, and only then compare it to the suspect. This simple procedural change removes the power of suggestion and forces an analysis based purely on the evidence itself. It's a straightforward way to reduce the risk of an examiner finding what they are expected to find. Third, we must professionalize the field. Forensic examiners should be required to have robust training, pass regular proficiency tests, and be certified by an independent board. Furthermore, labs themselves must be accredited. Accreditation forces labs to adhere to strict protocols for evidence handling, documentation, and quality control. This helps prevent the sloppy work and contamination that can lead to wrongful convictions. It ensures a baseline of quality for every test performed. Fourth, courtroom testimony must be improved. Experts must be trained to present their findings honestly and accurately. They must clearly state the limitations of their analysis and the error rate of their technique. Phrases like "match to a reasonable degree of scientific certainty" can be misleading. Testimony should be grounded in data and statistics, not subjective confidence. Judges need better training to help them distinguish good science from bad, empowering them to be effective gatekeepers. This ensures the jury understands what the evidence truly means and what it does not. Fifth and finally, we must fund the system properly. Many of these problems stem from a lack of resources. Public defenders need the funding to hire their own experts to challenge questionable evidence. Crime labs need the money to hire enough staff, buy modern equipment, and implement the best protocols. Justice should not be a question of who can afford the best science. The promise of forensic science is immense. It can solve cold cases. It can pinpoint the guilty. It can, and often does, exonerate the innocent. We should not abandon these powerful tools, but we must abandon the myth that they are perfect. We must have the courage to look at the system we have built and admit where it is failing. This is not about blame. It is about responsibility. Every part of our justice system has a role to play in demanding better. A police officer collecting evidence, a judge hearing a case. We, as citizens, have a role to play in demanding it from them. Change is never easy. It will require police departments to embrace new procedures. It will require prosecutors to question their own evidence more critically. It will require judges to re-examine long-held precedents. It will require governments to invest real money into labs and public defense. Most of all, it will require a cultural shift, away from viewing forensic evidence as an automatic path to a conviction, toward viewing it as one piece of a complex puzzle. That must be handled with extreme care and scientific humility. The stakes are simply too high for anything less. We must continue to push for these changes. We must support organizations that fight for the wrongly convicted. We must demand transparency and accountability from our crime labs. We must insist that the evidence used to take away a person's liberty is nothing less than the scientific truth. The goal is not to make it harder to convict the guilty. The goal is to make it impossible to convict the innocent. Strengthening forensic science strengthens the entire justice system, making it more reliable for everyone. It ensures that when a verdict is read, it is a verdict we can all trust. The pursuit of justice is a human endeavor, and so it will always be imperfect. But we have a solemn obligation to make it as fair and as accurate as humanly possible. The stories of people like Keith Harward are not just tragic tales, they are urgent calls to action. We must answer that call with firm resolve and an unwavering commitment to the truth.